Ethics of Space Exploration by Herodotus Marroncini,
David Yoon.
Lisa Teshel,
And Nathan Day.
So for background information, space exploration rapidly increased during the space race. The space race was a standoff between the Soviet Union and the USA during the Cold War. This basically was to show whose spaceflight abilities could progress the fastest. And the USA eventually won the space race by landing the first man on the moon during the Apollo missions. And during that time, mostly government associations have been controlling space exploration, such as NASA. But recently, private companies have started to gain some dominance in the space trade, such as SpaceX. And as you can see here, technology for exploration has also advanced, as now we have things such as reusable rockets and satellites.
Okay, as David just said, yes, the space race advanced our technology for space exploration. And that also brings up the question that is it ethical to risk contamination for the sake of exploration? Our answer to that question is no. It is not ethical to contaminate other planets for exploration, as it could have adverse effects on not only national economies but also the global economy. It could also strain the health of our astronauts that we send to space. But that also brings, when we send our spacecraft to space, it could also carry microbes which could endanger the ecosystem by contamination.
So for the economical effects of exploration, one of the main goals right now is to allow for asteroid mining because it has the potential for a lot of economic growth. But as a result, there will be an increase in global wealth inequality, and developing countries will suffer as a result. This graph here shows Sierra Leone's exports. The majority of their exports come from copper, cobalt, and zinc. These are all materials that will be mined from asteroids, and they will force Sierra Leone to compete with massive private sectors such as SpaceX, Blue Origin. Also, there are very high upfront costs that come with space exploration. NASA said that developing the ISS costs over $116 billion and 15 years of development. These funds could have been used in other places to provide much more immediate benefits such as healthcare and public transportation.
As I stated earlier, contamination brings a risk of not only contaminating other planets, but also contaminating us and Earth. As we send a spacecraft to space, rocket fuel emissions endanger our atmosphere since they release greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, thereby affecting it by climate change. And as bacteria that are carried by spacecraft travel through space, they could also contaminate celestial bodies, as shown by these graphs. As our bacteria would be considered invasive species, it would expand their contamination, thereby increasing the damage they do and becoming irreversible damage, which could also endanger life and the possibility of life that could happen in that celestial body. Hitchhiking microorganisms could also multiply rapidly, thereby also attaching to asteroids, thereby also possibly contaminating other planets aside from the one that we land on.
Not only are there negative and environmental and economical effects, there are also negative health effects on the astronauts. For example, an astronaut in space for an elongated period of time can experience isolation. This isolation can lead to sleep loss and depression. Sleep loss and depression are detrimental to a mission because they can lead to poor critical thinking skills. For example, if an astronaut did not catch up on any sleep and also became depressed from isolation, they can make a poor critical thinking choice during a high pressure moment. This can lead to risking the state of the mission. Not to mention, low gravity conditions have also been shown to weaken muscles. As your muscles weaken, they can start to atrophy and even become rendered useless. And also, space radiation can also cause cancer. A celestial being such as a star can emit harmful UV rays and gamma rays. These rays these rays could cause cancer in the health of an astronaut. And while chemotherapy treatments do exist, sending one up to space could be costly.
So, now that we looked at the main issues, what are our possible solutions? Well, as David said earlier, one key solution is to develop new technology to protect humans from government harm. This can be done through advancing astronaut safety, which will make missions safer and more sustainable overall. Another important solution is enforcing treaties on government economic policies. Many countries and private companies often prioritize profit and competition over sustainability, which leads to having more debris and pollution within the environments. Treaties such as the Outer Space Treaty and the Artemis Accords, if enforced, can make space exploration more responsible. The ESA, European Space Agency, is already using reusable rockets and eco-friendly fuels, showing that space exploration can be done in a cleaner way if rules are actually followed. The Center also mentioned by taking extra precautions to avoid contamination, we can have better sterilization when traveling. This can be done through many different ways by having stricter protocols. NASA and the ESA already have these protocols, but many private companies don't, such as an example could be the Beresheet crash in 2019, where microbes were exposed onto the moon. This could have been avoided by having stricter protocols when traveling. By having these solutions, they can help protect both space and Earth's climates and environments.
So for some limitations, currently there's insufficient materials and knowledge to create these technical solutions. And developing these solutions take years and years of research and testing to even have the possibility of being implemented. Existing treaties and regulations have many treaty loopholes. Leon brought up the Outer Space Treaty. However, in that treaty, it bans countries from owning celestial bodies such as the moon or asteroids. But there's a gray area when it comes to private ownership of like mining and profiting, allowing companies to do things like mining and profiting, even though they don't actually own the materials themselves. Also, complete sterilization is difficult just due to human error, and also private companies, it's hard to enforce private companies, especially since they have the capital to lobby against regulations.
So, in conclusion, contamination of other planets should not be risked. The negative effect outweighs the positive effects in space exploration, such as economic harm, potential health risks, and environmental disruption. New innovations need to be made to replace the risk of contamination while permitting space exploration. Thank you.
Thank you.